Hi, and welcome to another episode of the CDEX tutorial. As you can see in the titles, today I'm going to show you how to set up a CDEX web service and how to use the CDEX Jenkins plugin to integrate your web testing into the continuous integration and continuous delivery process, also known as the CI/CD process. First, let's define some terms that I mentioned above. Web service is a server that listens to requests at a particular port over a network to provide some service. Jenkins is an open source automation server that helps automating the parts of the software development that is related to building, testing, and deploying, which can facilitate the process of continuous integration and continuous delivery. Finally, continuous integration and continuous delivery is a software development mechanism that enables a development team to deliver their code changes more frequently and reliably. Continuous integration consists of an automated way to build, package, and test applications, where continuous delivery automates the delivery of the applications to the selected platform. You might be wondering how these three concepts I mentioned can come together in the picture. Well, in order to implement the CI/CD process in an automated way, we need automated services. The Jenkins server provides these automated services for building, testing, and deploying, which is the integration part of the CI/CD process. And the CDEX Web Service plugin is a Jenkins plugin that can provide the testing service of the CI process. Back to the CDEX Web Service. The CDEX Web Service provides a server that delivers testing services for the test cases recorded on the CDEX recorder. This server can be hosted under a private network, which can allow companies to use the service within an internal network if your company have any networking policies. There are three different ways to invoke the CDEX Web Service server: the CDEX Jenkins plugin, CDEX Web Service Web API, and the CDEX Web Service Client API, which is available in Java, Python, and Node.js. The structure of the whole web service looks something like this. The client side can use the CDEX Jenkins plugin to send some test cases via the Client API, which uses the Web API to send the test cases to the testing server. So, it is possible to invoke the server using any of these three tools on the client side. And on the server side, the CDEX Web Service will execute your test cases, and when the execution is finished, the server will send the test report via email, Slack, or Line. The server will also send the test report back to the Jenkins by the same path test cases were sent. For today's video, I'm only going to demonstrate the client side using the CDEX Jenkins plugin. You can always find the documentations for using the Client API or the Web API below in the descriptions. Now, let's build the web service. On your server-side computer, first download the Selenium standalone server and the browser drivers you wish to test your test cases on. Make sure you also have Java and Node.js installed in your computer. There is a document containing all the links for the downloading sites in the descriptions below. Once you downloaded everything, extract the browser drivers into the same folder as the Selenium standalone server. Open a terminal inside this folder and run the following command to start the standalone server. You can copy this command from the document listed in the description box too. Next, on your server-side computer, open up another terminal and run npm install -global @cdex/webservice. Now, you need to prepare a service configuration JSON file for your server. This configuration file should contain at least the information about the server URL and the port, and also the test job folder path. You may also use localhost if you need to host your server locally. There are many additional configurations you can add to your server settings. Make sure to check out the web service documentation that is listed in the descriptions. Once you have your configuration file ready, run cdex-webservice-config with your configuration file's path in the terminal to start your web service server. And now your server is up and ready. A quick note is that the CDEX Web Service and the Selenium server can be run on Docker containers. If you wish to know more about this, please check out the documentations in the descriptions. Next, on the client-side computer, you are first going to prepare a client configuration file. The client configuration file contains the execution settings of your test cases. It should contain at least the server URL and the browsers you wish to test on. You can also add the channels you wish to send your test reports to: email, Slack, or Line. A quick note here is that you can actually export the settings at the CDEX option page and use it as the configuration file. This way, you can have all of your preferences on the CDEX recorder on your CDEX web service. You should also use the CDEX recorder to export your recorded test suites into either a HTML file or a JSON file. Place all of the exported test suites files under a folder named Suites. If you have additional global variable files or I18N language files, place them under folders named Variables and I18N respectively. These two folders are optional. Now, add the configuration file and the other folders to archive and save them as a zip file. Next, install Jenkins in your client-side computer and log into your account. Click on Manage Jenkins and then Manage Plugins. Select the tab Available and search for CDEX in the filter box. Install the CDEX plugin and restart your Jenkins. After restarting, click on New Items in the menu. Enter your project name and select Freestyle Project. Next, under the Build settings, click on Add Build Step and select Execute CDEX Web Testing. There should be a configuration menu showing up. Here, you can enter the information about your web service, such as your server URL with the port number and the absolute path to your zip file you just prepared on the client side. When you're done, click on Save and you are ready to execute your test cases on the CDEX web service. The only thing you have to do is to click on Build Now. You can now sit back and wait for the execution to finish. If you have set up other notification channels, you will immediately get notified when your execution is finished. If you didn't, the execution result will still show up in your Jenkins output console. You can open the test reports and review the execution here. Well, this is it for today. I hope you find this video being helpful. Be sure to check out other videos in the playlist for more tutorials about CDEX. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in another video.